Welcome to Wealth Builders with our host, the man with the plan, Anthony Cangemi, in the house today. I'm so excited. My name's Tony Shore. I'm your co-host, as always. And Anthony, we're excited. You and I are pumped up. We're talking about plans for the rest of the year. You and everyone at Crescent City there in the office, you guys got a great team, and you've been busy, but you've got a lot planned for this upcoming year for your clients, for our listeners and viewers out there. We have some really potent topics to talk about. And I feel like we need to hype this thing a little bit more. I'm thinking like a monster truck Sunday, Anthony Cangemi and monster truck madness. Right?
Well, I hear you, Tony. You know, it really is exciting when people think about retiring and getting close to retirement or in retirement. They really should get excited. I mean, they've worked a long time and people have done a lot to finally get to the place where they can retire. And it really can be, we always talk about the golden years and times of really just it's time for you and to be able to enjoy. And so, that's what we hope this show is about, is helping you become equipped with the right information and the right knowledge to be able to retire successfully. And so, we love the show, Tony, and we honestly couldn't do it without you. We really appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll have to be someday we're going to be doing this show live from the Superdome. There'll be monster trucks and there'll be Anthony and Tony hosting the event and talking about finances. So that'll be fun. But in the meantime, we need to talk about fundamentals. I know, the purpose of the show is to educate our listeners and to help them avoid financial mistakes and to plan for retirement. And this is really a big one. Today, you wanted to talk about Social Security. That's going to be good. First, how have you been? How was Father's Day?
Father's Day was good, Tony. We went to, and for our listeners that are familiar, we went to a steakhouse that's been around since 1932. Ooh. Actually, I've been there many, many times because my dad used to love Charlie's Steakhouse on Dryad.
So an old school steakhouse. I love those.
Old school steakhouse, no menu. So you sit down, they tell you, there's a couple of different, they've got a T-bone, they've a couple of cuts, ribeye, a filet. How do you want your steak? And then a couple of sides that are pretty staple sides, but no menu. You just show up and order, your steak. But I tell you, Tony, it's still since 1932, Charlie's has been right there at that same location on Dryad. And I'm telling you, man, it was really a good steak. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So they didn't pay me for that. But I'm telling you, if you're out there
right.
and
we're not actually, that's not a paid advertisement. That's real endorsement right there.
Real endorsement.
Yes. Yeah. Sir. Well, that's a great thing to do for Father's Day. Was Anthony there, Jr.?
Oh yeah. Anthony, Chris, Daniel, Sam, Brandy. Wow. My mother joined us, and Brandy's
I love
dad.
Your mom. Your mom's a wild one. Yeah. Got to watch her.
She's a character, I tell you.
She is.
86 years old.
Yeah. About the same age as my parents. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, I think one of my mom's secrets, well, she's got a couple of secrets. One of them is she loves, she hasn't gotten away from the hobbies and the things that she loves to do.
Stays active.
Ever since she was a child. I mean, she always loved to paint. She loved to draw. She loved music. She's a pianist, and she was voice, for many, many years, but she doesn't sing anymore, but she still plays the piano, and she still loves her art, and she's loved it all her life. So she still enjoys her hobbies. And I think that's one of her secrets. And then the other secret I think she has, that I don't know why, she's always been big on stretching, but
Hmm.
She can sit on the floor right in front of you and stand right back up, Uh,
I can barely do that.
I know, and
That's
I think
crazy.
she attributes that to stretching, so I don't know, but,
Wow. Yeah, I think she could take me in a fight.
yeah.
In a fair fight, I don't think I could even take her. So,
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah.
she's just a joy. She's definitely the poster child for somebody that's still really, really enjoying their retirement.
Well, I think that's great. And we were talking about retirement planning on the show and things that, mistakes to avoid. One thing you need to do is stay active and get out there, do the things you love, stay mentally active and physically active. And your mom's doing both of those. And she's
She is.
86 and
Yeah.
still has her health and her wits about her. And that's nowadays, that's something. We're living longer and longer. But boy, by the time people usually reach their mid 80s, I mean, you're having memory issues or you're physically not able to do things and mentally not able. So that's really good. Now, you want to avoid that cognitive decline. Now, before you get to that point, when you're planning for retirement, you've got to take into account Social Security. And a lot of people, in America, unfortunately, too many people still rely too much on Social Security. I mean, it's good. It's the base, it's the foundation of any solid retirement income plan. You've said that on the show many times, but it's not the whole plan, and it's not even a majority of the plan, right?
That's right, Tony. But you are right. I mean, when we think about a retirement plan, income planning really is a foundational piece to a retirement plan.
Yeah,
And I would say Social Security is the foundational piece to any income plan.
sure.
So, as you know, we do a lot as it relates to the Social Security strategies that we utilize with the Social Security maximization report that we're able to get through the gradient case design team, the CFPs that we work with at Gradient. But so Social Security is a big part of an overall retirement income plan. But as you say, I mean, it's not the only part of a retirement income plan, but it certainly is one aspect of it.
Right. And it's a big aspect. I mean, it's mailbox money. It's money will be there each month. So you have to plan for it. But again, you can't really retire on Social Security alone. I mean,
No.
because, right?
Well, I mean, typically it may not be enough to retire on, and so typically you will then look at other investments. Maybe you were involved in a 401k when you were working, or an IRA, or a Roth IRA, or different types of retirement accounts that you may have available to you, and then how you might go about structuring the income from those various retirement accounts to pair with your Social Security income
Mhm.
is a big part of it.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's obviously huge. Well, and they say according to the SSA.gov, the average monthly Social Security benefit for most Americans is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month. So again, yeah, I mean, it's designed to be supplemental income, not full retirement coverage. And there are a lot of factors that impact how much you're going to get too, right?
Yeah, there is. They go back and look at really 35 years of earnings, and they take the average of those 35 years. And then, of course, there's all kinds of formulas that are utilized to get to the PIA, or the primary insurance amount. It depends on when you were born to determine what your full retirement age, FRA, is. In my case, I was born in 1967. So my full retirement age, according to Social Security, is age 67. But as you know, Tony, people can start Social Security as early as age 62 and then as late as age 70.
Okay.
So there's 96 months between 62 and 70. So the idea is when's the best time to start? And it depends on when you were born and what your full retirement age is and how much you contributed. And then also, are you married or are you single? Because then there'll be some survivor benefits out there depending on your election if you're married. So, there's a lot that goes into the equation. One of the things I will say, in some of the things that are just very, very obvious when you start looking at these Social Security maximization reports, is from the in a lot of cases, not in all cases, depending again on the age difference, especially for married couples, but in a lot of cases, from the very worst strategy, meaning, hey, based on life expectancy, this is the worst strategy, because you got to compare apples to apples.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
don't know how long everybody's going to live or die. So
Right.
Social Security has life tables, and they have average life expectancy, right? So using an apples to apples comparison, in a lot of cases in these Social Security reports, from the very worst strategy to the best strategy, the optimized, they call it, or optimization strategy, Tony, it could be several $100,000 difference between the worst and the best
Wow.
strategies. Yeah. So, utilizing the Social Security strategies that are available and really making sure, because in a lot of cases, somebody will just say, well, a bird in the hand's better than two in a bush. I'm just going to start at age 62 and start collecting my benefits early. And, it's not going to make much difference. But, it really does uh, warrant really looking at a Social Security report, like the
Sure.
Social Security maximization report, to make sure that we have all our eyes opened on the different strategies available and how it's going to all pair together with the additional income sources that are going to be utilized to build out this retirement income plan.
Yeah, and that's huge, and I'm glad you brought that up. That is the big offer today for our listeners and viewers. If they call into your office today, Anthony, you're offering a no charge, no obligation consultation to run one of those Social Security maximization reports based on their personal info to show them where their sweet spot is, or
Yes.
probably will be. So at least they have an idea or a starting point, and you can talk to them about where they're at, and it'll help them when to file. If they want to get more information on when to file for Social Security, all they have to do is go to crescentcityretirement.com, right?
That's it. Just go to crescentcityretirement.com and request the Social Security Max report. One of our advisors or myself will reach out. We'll make sure that we get the information that we need from you to run your very own customized Social Security maximization report. And that report gives you 4 different options. It gives you the what if you file at your earliest, what if you wait until your full retirement age? What if you wait until age 70? So it gives you those 3 options. And then it gives you the optimization strategy. So it gives you 4 different strategies showing the same life expectancy on each strategy. So you can see the difference between waiting or filing or when to file. So it's not just, some throw darts at the wall. You really do have a report, that Social Security maximization report, that really spells out the different strategies and filing options and survivor benefits, so you can really make an informed decision. So yes, crescentcityretirement.com, or call our office at 504-828-2171, and we'll make sure we get you that Social Security maximization report. It's a pillar. It's really a foundational piece to an overall income plan, Tony.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And just really quick, what would you say to people, Anthony, who are concerned? I mean, we're all concerned about Social Security and the future of Social Security. But if you listen to the media, the sky is falling. But the SSA, Social Security Administration, did update the fact that the trust fund for Social Security is going to be possibly depleted by fourth quarter now of 2032, which would result in like a 20% reduction of benefits. So people need, that's even more of a reason though to have a retirement income plan in place, isn't it?
It is, Tony. I mean, it's kind of like that serenity prayer. I mean, we need to do the things that we can do, that we can actually, we're in control of.
Yeah,
I mean,
control the things we can control and don't
control.
worry about the things we cannot.
Yeah, and not be informed and
Oh
not,
yeah,
stick
sure.
your head in the sand, so I'm not saying that, but at the same time, and I will say just in my own, personal belief, I feel like Social Security and Medicare are such a sacred, cow in this country. And but you know, as you mentioned, based on these reports that are saying that, hey, by 2032, there could be a reduction in benefits.
Possibly if
y-
nothing
if
changes.
nothing changes. And I would say to that, what can we do, right? What can we do to help offset any reduction that could come about in the future? And that would be the things we can do with our own investments, our own planning, our own retirement accounts that we
Sure.
can position to be that supplemental source of income on top of the Social Security benefit. I mean, what else is there other than good old fashioned planning?
Right. And the planning for retirement income is huge. And there's always going to be that income gap problem that you'll run up. Social Security or your pension might account for, let's say $2,000 worth. But if you need $7,000 a month to live, and Social Security is providing 2,000, that leaves a $5,000 a monthly gap. So how do you do that? And I know you've talked about the three-legged stool before, where you have Social Security, or the pillars of retirement. You have Social Security, then you have your savings and investments or retirement accounts, and then maybe additional income if you have it, if you're fortunate enough to have rental income or pensions or part-time work. Those are other available options too, aren't they?
They are, Tony. And, one of the things, it's kind of like reverse engineering. If we know a time horizon. So let's say you're going to retire in 5 years, or let's say you have a 10-year time
Sure.
horizon, or let's say you're going to retire in the next 2 years, right? Understanding what the time horizon is obviously going to be important. The other thing is, what is the income gap, right? As you mentioned, what are we solving for? Well, if we know that the income gap is going to be 5,000 a month in your example, and Social Security is going to provide, 2,000, we need 7, and the income gap is 5, and we know we're 5 years away from retirement. Well, then we can reverse engineer that. We know what we need to do today and what we need to contribute today and what needs to happen today in order for 5 years from now for us to have enough in our retirement accounts to be able to start those distributions and withdrawals so the income gap is filled. So the very first two questions that I think are going to sound very, simple, and obviously we have questions that we ask our clients as it relates to retirement planning. But the first two key questions are: when do you want to retire? And how much income are we solving for? What is the income need going to look like, not only for the bills and the expenses, but also lifestyle? What do they think they're going to need in retirement to be able to pay their expenses and enjoy the retirement that they are hoping for?
Yeah, there you go. And that's the key, right? I mean, we all want to be able to have that security to know, hey, our money is going to last as long as we do, right? That's what everybody's afraid of. Will I run out of money in retirement? And as our old buddy Tom Lowry once told me, Anthony, he said, you don't want your bank account to hit zero before your blood pressure does. And I always love that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And we run these plans, Tony, to age 100. So
Yeah,
one of the things that, we're pretty confident, and we use very, very conservative rates of return. So we're pretty confident that the income planning that we're structuring is going to run, right? We
right.
and so it but it's very, very, very important to know, if you just wake up and show up in retirement and say, well, hey, as we need money, we'll just pull it out of these accounts and we'll
Oof.
take money as we need it, as we march along. I mean, that's so wrong in so many different levels. One, you can't control the tax implications because you don't have a structured distribution strategy. Two, there's really no structure involved. I mean, you may be over withdrawing, and like Tom says, I mean, we don't want to, our bank account to our accounts to go to zero before our blood pressure. I mean, we
Right.
need to, and interestingly, one of the biggest fears that people have is outliving their money,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
retirement. And that's why, income planning and distribution strategies and making sure that you have a solid income plan is really critical as it relates to a sound retirement plan.
There you go. And I know that there are steps to building that solid retirement income plan. And I love how you talked about the 4% rule, or you talked about people who, hey, I've got this large sum of, I was really diligent about saving. My wife and I each have 401ks or an IRA. So we're set for retirement. We're not worried about it. Okay, what about income? Once you retire, you have to have a monthly income. Well, we'll just pull money out. I heard someone told us, I heard the rumor that the 4%, I can pull 4% out a year. Well, they're not taking into account their tax situation. They're not taking into account how much they're going to need for healthcare. They haven't planned out what
Market volatility.
market volatility, right?
Yeah, it's all true. Taxes, healthcare, market volatility, all of those things are culprits, and so all of that's got to be considered. Tony, we spend, if you think about it, you and I, also all of us, we spend the majority of our life in what we in the financial world call the accumulation phase.
Yep.
We're working and we're saving and we're raising kids, we're paying off bills, we're paying off debt, we're paying off our homes. We're working and we're saving, we're in the accumulation phase. And then when we get into retirement, we move into what's experts call the distribution phase. We're not putting money in anymore, we're taking money out. And so
Whole
right.
different ball game, and people don't have experience with it.
No, and rightfully, how would they?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
people only retire one time. It's a one-time event, and
Right.
they've never done it before. And so, as retirement counselors, though, even though I haven't done it before, I do have the
Well, you go through the process though every day with
every
people.
day
I mean,
with
my wife and
people.
I are only going to go through this process once. You've gone through it hundreds, if not thousands of times in your life already.
That's the perspective
Yeah.
and the advantage that retirement counselors are going to have
Yeah.
is that they have seen many, many, many hundreds and maybe even thousands of retirement plans and people that have actually transitioned into retirement and the things that have been very, very successful and the things to look out for.
The
And
pitfalls.
and then the pitfalls,
Yeah.
and so it's almost it's a guide to just kind of guide you along to say, well, hey, let's make sure we've considered these pitfalls that you may not have considered because you just don't have the you haven't done it. And so that's why I just can't urge our listeners enough to have as a foundational part of your retirement plan, have an income plan, have a distribution plan. And then Social Security, of course, is going to be a part of that plan, but it's not the only part of that plan, right? There's other pieces of that retirement income plan that are going to all mesh together. And that should be in a very tax efficient way, to where that distribution strategy, Tony, not only weathers the storms of volatility in the market, weathers the storm of healthcare needs that may come up, taxes. It all has to be considered in your distribution retirement income plan.
Yep. Reminds me of something you told me or said on an earlier show. You've said this before on the show. You said, Tony, retirement isn't about assets or that lump sum number. It's about income. And that's where people kind of lose their way. And there's expensive mistakes that can be made there. And, the goal isn't just to retire. People think they've hit the goal once they reach retirement. I've reached my goal. I've done it. No, the goal is to stay retired.
Yeah.
You not only have to get up to the top of Mount Everest. So many people set that as their goal.
Right.
And that's why the majority of people have problems, or even the majority of people that have died climbing Mount Everest. Coming down. Yeah. So it's the same way with retirement and Social Security. It's such an important choice. Don't just, I'm going to take it at 62 because I get more checks. That's what my neighbor told me to do, or a buddy at work did that when he retired. No, or my brother did that when he retired, or brother-in-law. Nope, you have a specific situation, and spousal benefits are also a big thing that people don't take into consideration, right?
Absolutely. Survivor benefits. That's what I said earlier. When you start looking at especially married couples, and then depending on the age difference of the married couples, I'm telling you, Tony, you could look at two from the worst strategy, just using apples to apples comparisons. In other words, the report has everybody dying at the right time, right? And it's showing 4 different strategies, but from the worst to the best, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars difference
over your lifetime.
And yes, that money that could have been collected that wasn't collected just by making the wrong filing option.
Yeah. And not to say that some people shouldn't file at 62. Some should. Depends on your goals, your situation, your needs.
100%.
So before we go, we need to wrap up because of time, Anthony. A lot of great information in today's show. How can our listeners have that report run? You're offering to run it at no charge, no obligation. Get the Social Security Maximization report run. Do not file for Social Security without running it. Do not retire without a solid retirement income plan, working with someone like yourself, Anthony, a trusted financial services professional. How can our listeners set up that no charge, no obligation consultation?
2 ways, Tony. One, go to crescentcityretirement.com. It's crescentcityretirement.com. There's a form right on the website. You could just fill it out, say you want to get a copy of your Social Security Maximization report. We'll make sure we get that. That's the foundation of a retirement income plan, is that Social Security report. Or just simply pick up the phone and call our office at 504-828-2171. That's 504-828-2171. And just let our staff know that you were listening to Tony and I discuss Social Security Maximization on the radio show, and we will make sure we get that report in your hands. It will be invaluable.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, Anthony, great show today. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Wealth Builders with our host, Anthony Cangemi.